The Naruto manga has 3 eras of art styles. The early era starts in chapter 1 and ends with the Konoha Crush arc. The middle era starts with the Search for Tsunade arc and ends around the 5 Kage Summit. The late era picks up there and goes to the end of the manga. I will be focusing on the middle era in this video. I'll start with height. When drawing characters, the average human is about 6 heads tall. Naruto respects that rule. Most of the main characters who are around average height are 6 heads tall, both in part 1 and part 2. Naruto was 4'10" in part 1 and 5'5" in part 2. Slightly taller characters like Kakashi, who is 5'11", are 6.5 heads tall. The eye is the signature and trademark of most anime art styles. For many styles, the eye alone will tell you what story it belongs to. Kishimoto draws most of the character's eye outline similar to a rhombus, which is realistic. There's a space on the inside and the outside, like most anime eyes. Some characters like Sasuke and Shikamaru have slimmer outlines for their eyes, making their eyes look more closed and serious, but most characters have the width being slightly greater than the height. Like in most manga and anime, the top eyelash is slightly thicker than the bottom. Females have extra lashes pointing out. For the eyeballs, they have perfect circles with a pupil inside. They lack the trademark shine or glare of the anime style, which would usually make a character look more intense, but Kishimoto somehow avoids that. When characters have black scleras, their eyeball is pure black. Some characters like Tenten and Tsunade have hatching to color their scleras. There are a few types of eyelids. Sasuke has the most regular type. Naruto has no visible eyelids due to having a monolid. Sakura's eyelid touches her eye outline, but only on the inside. Hinata has 2 lines for her eyelids. In real life, the average amount of space between the eyes is the width of one eye. In Naruto, the gap is a tad bit wider than one eye's width. It varies a little, even with the same characters. Sometimes it's 1.5, sometimes it's 1.5, but it's always more than 1. This is common for anime styles, especially in the 90s. Most characters in Naruto have thin eyebrows that slightly get thicker towards the center or the inside. Naruto has slightly thicker eyebrows that get thicker on the outside rather than the inside. The human face can be split into thirds. The top third goes from the hairline to the eyebrows. The middle third is the eyebrows to the nose. The bottom third is the nose to the chin. On average, all of these thirds are about even. Men have slightly longer lower thirds. Naruto's style has some variance, but usually the middle third is slightly longer than the other thirds. But there are times where all thirds are even. There is not much of a difference between male and female facial thirds. The jaws are mostly anatomically correct. They are round and often lack sharp angles. Most men have flat chins, and women have sharper but rounded off chins. One Piece and Bleach do something similar, giving men mostly flat chins and women sharp or round chins. Sasuke initially has the feminine chin, but Kishimoto flipped back and forth, ending with the flat, masculine chin. For the nose, Kishimoto draws the nostrils as either 2 carrot shapes or 2 slanted lines. A little bit of the bridge of the nose is drawn down from the eyebrows. The way the style maintains realism while reducing the nose to the essentials is beautiful. The way the hair is drawn in this era is very simple. Most anime hairstyles can be reduced to triangles, but the difference is that the sizes vary and there are curved lines. Naruto's early era had that, but in this era, they have been simplified to clean triangles with mostly straight lines, and most of the triangles are the same size. Furthermore, there is no detail within the hair. There is some overlap when a section of hair is clearly in front, like with Sakura's bangs, but apart from that, the hair is essentially a silhouette, an outline. Like a lot of anime, most of the style points are dumped into the head area. Naruto's contemporaries like Bleach and One Piece had a little stylization when it came to the body, but Kishimoto doesn't use any noticeable abstraction. When it comes to the body, the anatomy is realistic. What Kishimoto does abstract is the clothing folds. Folds can be really hard to draw due to the amount of folds that can happen based on position, cloth thickness, gravity, and more. In Naruto, the folds are almost always bumpy and thick, regardless of the implied cloth. Naruto's jacket is clearly made of thick material due to the way it puffs out towards the bottom, so those folds make sense for his clothes. But Kishimoto uses these folds for almost every cloth. It gives the feeling that all the cloth is made of thick material. Sasuke in part 1 is a good example. He wears a t-shirt and shorts that look like they're made of thin material, but the folds are often wide and bumpy. The main exception for the wide folds is when characters are wearing loose, kimono-like sleeves. Sasuke, Hinata, and Neji are good examples. There, the folds will look more realistic based on the material's thickness. Even though the thickness of the folds is abstracted, the actual physics of the folds are consistently realistic. Outside of the head area, I would say this is one of the most stylistic things about Naruto's art. It adds a touch of personality to the realism. The line work in this era is made up of clean, thin lines. Before, Kishimoto used to have line weight and pen pressure reminiscent of a G pen, but in the middle era, it looks like he switched to a Maro pen or a Micron pen. All the lines have a consistently thin weight. The style doesn't really use parted lines or sketchy rough lines. Everything is clean, which is different from the late era. Halftones are almost entirely absent from this style, only being used on special occasions. This is understandable because Kishimoto didn't work digitally. There's a decent amount of solid black, but a unique thing the style does is drawing white lines within the black to show separation. This is done for cloth folds and sometimes for hair. Kishimoto will draw white lines to indicate where the folds are or where parts of their hair separate. Kiba's a great example. Even the location of his lapels is outlined in white. In other art styles, like One Piece, all the black would blend together. Finally, shading. The shading is probably the second most iconic thing about this art style. During this era, Kishimoto's signature hatching started to die down. In the search for Tsunade arc, the hatching evolved to its most recognizable form. All the lines are even thickness and almost always slanted. It's not cross-hatching because there is only one layer of lines. These slanted lines are also outlined by another line showing where the shadow ends. This line varies between parted and unbroken. There are also times where there is no outline for the shading. On the face, the main location for the shadows is right under the nose, forming a kind of upside-down triangle. During the Sasuke recovery, the shading dies down, and by the start of part 2, is almost gone, only appearing in select scenes. Naruto has a very appealing art style in its middle era. A lot of it is anatomically correct, only with slight stylistic abstractions. The reason I made this video is because I like videos breaking down art styles, but I hadn't seen anyone do it with enough detail that would actually give artists a clear formula of how to imitate the style. They usually just scratch the surface, so here's my breakdown. Hopefully it was helpful.